So here we are going to perform a two samples z-test for means in JASP using the p-value approach. So the researcher Franco claims that the average score of the fundamentals of statistics math face-to-face, math one-to-one face-to-face group performed higher than the math one-to-one online group. That's what he's claiming. To test his claim, he surveyed a sample of 35 of both the math one-to-one face-to-face and the math one-to-one online students. So we're going to use a sample, a significance level of 0.05, and we're going to use JASP because we used Excel in the previous video to help Franco complete the z-test forming via p-value approach. The data is presented in the following table, so we're going to transfer these data values to Excel. So we're going to transfer via column per column, copy this column, that's for the face-to-face, Control-C, Control-V, and copy for the online, Control-C, Control-V, and do that for all the 7 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns, till when we complete the transfer of the data values from the Word document to Excel. So here the values have been transferred to Excel. So what we need to do is to save this file as CSV, comma separated values, so that Excel can recognize this Excel spreadsheet. Oh, here it is already saved as. So let's just update it. Let's put it in put it in on the desktop. Oh, here it is in the desktop already. So just save this. Yes, so we want to replace it. Right, so we go to JASP now. And we go to show main menu, open, go to computer, go to browse, and hypothesis testing z-test, click open. And the data value should be appearing. So here the data values has been imported into JASP. So we go to t-test because by default, JASP does not have z-test written. Now we're looking for independent samples, 2 different samples. Face-to-face and online. But we need to look for z-test. I'm seeing T students, but not z-test. Let's check out Bayesian. Does not have 2 sample z-test, but it has 1 sample z-test. Yes, there's 1 sample z-test, but I'm not seeing 2 samples z-test. So we'll have to settle for 2 samples t-test. We have to make a modification in our title of our presentation. So we'll have to change Z to P, 2 samples. Yes. I'll have to save this file as 2 samples. Yes. For me. Let's go back to JASP. Independent samples t-test. Go back here again. Classical independent samples t-test. Transfer the variables, face-to-face group and the online group to compare. The means. So JASP is doing the calculations automatically. Now we have to take note that JASP only wants the variables to be in one column, the data values in one column, and the groups in a separate column. So we have to restructure the data values of it is presented in Excel. So we go on a separate sheet and we type group, and we type score. So the groups are face-to-face. I'm looking at 35, so we have to go down to 36. And the other group is online. So we have to go down to 36 plus 35 brings us to 71. Right, so now we go and we copy the values for the face-to-face. Control C. Control V. And the values for the online. And save this. And this is what we import into JASP. Go back to JASP. Go back to show menu, computer, browse, hypothesis testing, open. And here it has imported it to JASP. So the dependent variable will be the score, and the grouping variable will be the groups, face-to-face and online. And JASP has returned a p-value of 0.01, meaning we have to reject the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis, as you know, it is always saying that the means are equal to each other. So let us state that in the presentation, that the difference is actually equal to 0, or the means are equal to each other. So this null statement, we have to reject it, because remember the decision criteria says that if the p-value is less than the significance level, we have to reject the null hypothesis. And our p-value, according to JASP, is 0.001, which is much less than 0.05, and here it is, p-value is less than 0.05. So we have to reject the null hypothesis. Let's complete the pair of statements. And HA. Or H1, you can put 1 for HA, will be saying, let us calculate the means of both groups to see how they are. Let's go to descriptives. And we want the statistics. We want the means. Let's make sure mean is ticked. Can delete all of this. We really need standard deviation. Yes, we don't need maximum. All we want is the means of both groups. And as you can see, the variable score, the split is groups, which is face-to-face and online. So I can actually see that the mean for the online is higher than the mean for the face-to-face. So the mean for the face-to-face is less than the mean for the online. So that will constitute our alternative hypothesis. The mean for the face-to-face is less than the mean for the online. So this is what we'll be left with for our conclusion, because when the null hypothesis is rejected, then the alternative is the conclusion as is stated here. If the null is rejected, then the alternative is the conclusion. So we have rejected the null, so the alternative here is the conclusion. And let us transfer our input to our presentation. So we simply go here and we click here and we copy and we paste in our text box. And we do the same here. So the decision is to reject the null hypothesis, and based on the data to conclude that the mean for the face-to-face is less than that of the online. So the decision reads, since the p-value of 0.001, here it is less than the significance level alpha of 0.05, here it is, we reject the null hypothesis. This hypothesis we rejected, which is saying that the mean for the face-to-face is equal to the online. So we reject that statement. And we conclude, based on the data, the mean score for the face-to-face is less than that for the mean of the one-to-one online group.